Okay, today's video, I got a question I thought was a good one, and it's not talked about a lot. Is like people who used to be athletes prior to their eating disorder and possibly maybe being in their sport triggered their eating disorder, having fallen into an energy deficit unintentionally. That's kind of how mine started, was playing volleyball in college and just being like overworked and undernourished, and the perfect storm happened, and all of a sudden I felt like my brain was hijacked into an eating disorder. And so a lot of people will develop their exercise compulsion, not having any background or experience with any kind of sport or really ever interested in exercise prior to their eating disorder. And for those people, they still have to do the same thing in recovery, like regardless if you did struggle before, or not struggle before, regardless if you had a passion for movement and exercise or sport before your eating disorder or not, you still have to go cold turkey. However, what happens when, and so a lot of times people will go through recovery and then they're like, yeah, I really, like, it's not an issue. I don't really, like, I move and I do things, but like I'm not interested in getting back into like a certain sport or anything like that. And so it's a little bit more clear cut for them what exercise is going to feel like. But I had this person ask, and she's like, since recovery, like I want to get back into pretty competitive sports and some long endurance training type things. And is that okay? Is that appropriate? And I can only speak from my own experience, because I was someone who really liked and enjoyed moving my body before my eating disorder. In high school, I liked to run. It wasn't disordered at all. It never felt compulsive, and it never was linked to like burning calories. It was just because my mom ran growing up and I thought it looked fun. And I remember like, actually I just remembered, I remember, this dates me a bit, but I remember like coming home from high school and being like, oh, it's such a nice day. And I had my Discman. I don't know any of you that are old enough listening to this that remember like you put a CD in and you carry it. And I'd like run with these big, huge, like, which are back in style now, but I'd run these big headphones. And it was just like, I don't remember, like, they didn't have watches. I wasn't tracking anything. I had no idea even what like a pace per mile meant. And it was just like something I did. It was enjoyable. Same thing with volleyball. Like I'd go to practice and I wanted to get better at like the skills of volleyball, but it had nothing to do with like how many hours have I been in here and how long am I training, and oh my gosh, I can't be standing still during this drill. I never had those thoughts until, like I said, it started in college, and then all of a sudden volleyball practices were really stressful for me. If we had a water break that lasted more than a couple minutes, I was like doing jumping jacks, or if I was standing in line waiting to hit the ball over the net, I was bouncing around. Like I just could not stay still, and everything became like my main focus was to burn calories instead of just the enjoyment of movement. And so I was confused about that when I started recovery and I went cold turkey. I actually didn't really know, like, what is that going to look like then? Does it mean like I can never enjoy movement again? Does it mean I can never do things I used to do without it becoming disordered? Because I knew that I liked exercise, and I knew I'd probably want to be able to do it again when I fully recovered. However, for me, it really helped me to know that I had to overcome that compulsion to exercise if in fact I wanted to ever be able to even have the opportunity or possibility to be able to do any kind of sport or activity at that level again. So it kind of helped to motivate me to break that compulsion and to go cold turkey, knowing that I really just wanted that old relationship back that I had before my eating disorder. And I'm so glad that I did, because I really, and this is why I'm so kind of anal about this with my clients, is like, had I not tried for so many years to try to recover while still keeping exercise in the mix of recovery and failing over and over and over again, only to find that I was right back into, like, I could do it for a while. I could like maintain sort of what you would consider like a normal workout plan on paper that would look totally moderate and normal to anyone. And I could do it for a while, but then what would happen is like 30 minutes would turn into 40 minutes, and then 40 would turn into 45, and then 50, and then 55. And then I'd be like, okay, no more than an hour. I cap at an hour. I'm going to do an hour. And then it would be an hour, and months would go by, and all of a sudden I find myself, it's an hour and 20, and now it's an hour and a half. And then it would just spiral. And it was just like completely lost again. And that happened so many times in my prior attempts to recovery that it was pretty clear cut that I knew I had to give it up completely in recovery. And during that time of not exercising at all, I learned so many things about myself. So many things about myself. First, I learned that my only coping skill was exercise and restriction. I learned that I was very driven by other people's approval or praise about my body. I learned that it was a very effective tool for me to numb out by moving. I also learned that as I came out of that deficit, that drive to move went down, which was surprising. I didn't understand how that was going to happen, but it did. And now moving forward, let's jump ahead now to where I'm at now. And exercise is something that I enjoy again. There are exercises that I did when I was sick that I will never touch again, that I just like, since fully recovering, I've like given them a go, and I'm like, yeah, no, not something I like doing, not gonna do it. And not having that like drive to do something no matter what, or just killing myself and busting through, you know, any kind of barrier that my body might be telling me to stop. I don't even have that. Like, I think I thought that was a superpower when I was sick, and thank heavens I don't have that, if you want to call it a superpower or a disorder or whatever it was. I don't have that anymore. I really don't. Perfect example of this is my sister lives nearby, and she's always been like a very competitive, fast runner. And, you know, I took a long break from running. And since having Hazel, up until a few months ago, I probably went running, I don't know, once, maybe twice, like in the last year. And it was just kind of like, eh. And then my sister was like, we should go running together. I'm like, yeah, right. I'm not running with you. Yeah, right. And I'm not fast enough. I'm not running with you. And she's like, no, come on. So she finally pushed me into it. And I was like, okay, but I'm running my pace. Like, I'm not going faster. You can stay back with me, or you can go ahead. And like being able to do that, whereas in the past, anytime I'd run with her, I had to be faster than her. And I was always like sprinting and making sure that she wasn't beating. It was just so like, I just couldn't not go fast. It's so nice now just to be like, you can go with me, but I'm not pushing myself. Like, I'm going to go at whatever pace I want to. And just the other day we were going, and she wanted to keep going, and I was tired, and I didn't, and I was like, I'm going back home. And we got back to my house, and I ran home, and she kept running. And honestly, it was such a good feeling just to be like, I'm so glad I'm done. I'm actually tired, and it's hot, and I just am really thirsty, and I don't want to run anymore. Nothing inside of me felt like, oh my gosh, she ran further than me. Oh my gosh, I should have kept going, or lingering thoughts later in the day. Nothing. And I just didn't ever think that was even possible before recovery. And so I guess I did share that with you. One, because this question just came up, but then also just know that there's hope. Like, if you feel like, oh my gosh, I really don't know if I can ever get back to a place where I can just enjoy these things to enjoy them, you absolutely can. However, if you're that person that's like, no, I feel like I went through recovery, and I feel like I thought I recovered from that, but now here I am stuck again. It's probably a wake-up call that you need to do cold turkey. You need to go cold turkey again, and you need to do it longer until it is not. When you bring things back, you don't have that. Like, something inside of me felt so different. And I can't put my finger on what it was, other than it just felt so much, everything just felt more calm about exercise. Nothing felt forced. Nothing felt like I had to do certain things. I never felt like I wasn't enough for not doing a certain amount. I don't feel that way anymore. And so I don't know if this video is making a lot of sense, and I hope it's not triggering for anyone listening, because I know exercise is such a touchy topic, and anytime you hear about anyone that possibly is moving, pointing your finger at me like they're disordered. And I used to think that way very much so, but it's hard for me to be able to like kind of put into words what it feels like now without talking about it. And so hopefully you're understanding where I'm coming from. But I guess my point of this is, yeah, absolutely, it's possible, I think, to get back to doing the things that you love in a very non-disordered way. And even if that is down the road, I could never see myself getting into like marathons again or anything like that. But if that happens to be something that you loved before, I think that is possible. I really do. I think if you are not in the business of trying to just burn calories, and you're taking care of yourself, and you're giving yourself the rest, and again, you're very solid in your recovery, and it's been quite some time. I don't want to say never, like you never can do that. I think that's horrible. I think that you probably can, but if you're in a place where that's still hard for you now, it's probably going to be a while before you're looking at anything like that. So that's my message to you today. There is hope. Going cold turkey was one of the best things I did in my recovery. I can guarantee you, without a doubt, 100%, I would have never been able to fully recover had I not done that. I'm glad it's behind me. I'm very glad it's behind me, because the stress of making that decision and going through that with those withdrawal symptoms, all that was so hard. But I got through it. I learned so much, like I said, through it. And if you're in that decision making right now, should I not, or you're kind of battling with it, you're going in and out of moving, and then going cold turkey, moving, just do it. Just get it over with. Like, just do it. Please, just commit. It'll be worth it. It's a small little part of your life, so that the rest of your life you can then enjoy it like it's meant to be enjoyed. So I'll stop talking now. It's a very long video. Bye.